Oh, welcome.
I love it.
That's what happens when you are up leveling with the 10K card. Someone asked me in the room the other day, what is that? I said, that's my 10K card. Didn't you hear it? They're like, I said, you gotta come get your 10K card.
Yes, I love it.
Oh, yes. Hey, Queen, how are you? Here you go. I see your dot.
Yes, that is, I had to do a new one because yesterday's conversation was between another room and another room, and I was like, I need to hear both. So on my other phone, I just started another Clubhouse. I had to.
I know. It's that deep up in Clubhouse that we got to have multiple accounts. So we but who did we learn that from? Our sensei.
Yeah, our sensei, 10K Sean.
Yes, and this is his soundtrack right here. Actually, Greg picked it out.
That's dope. I like it.
Oh, I tell you, the 10K card has sound effects. Oh, hey, Queen, tell us more about what you're doing. I see you also have the new member badge. I know that you've been up in here, but I've got to mess with you for a minute. So,
yes, I'm a new member.
You marketing yourself.
Hello, everyone, kings and queens. My name is Melissa Cole, and I am a credit specialist. I empower my community by educating them and giving them the tools that they need in their arsenal to be able to have an excellent credit score where they're able to gain their buying power back. And I love what I do. I love empowering my community and empowering and educating them. It's a beautiful thing. And the way I use my 10K card is I just was at out to eat, made my best friend, and I just airdropped it. So,
you know what? You're a bad one.
Listen, thank you. Yes, it's just that airdrop feature is a beautiful thing because not only can I airdrop, but I also can see who actually declines my card. So it didn't give me a head count of how many, but it does give me a head count of who declined. So in the restaurant, it could have been maybe over 100 people, but probably maybe 30 or 40 had iPhones. And out of 30 or 40, maybe 6 of them declined because I seen, it comes up right, decline. So it's about 6 people that declined it, but then most of them accepted it.
Only an idiot.
You sent it so far. Yes, my brother. So can you go ahead, King Lorenzo?
Only an idiot would decline the 10K cards. This guy's awesome, man. I can't. Mr. 10K has been there for me. I can't wait to meet him in the Clubhouse 2.0.
Yes,
what's up, son? What's up, man?
Hey. Yes, it is. I had to get another one. I told you. I messaged you and you hit me with the welcome, fam.
Okay. You probably got one of my quick responses.
Yeah.
He thought you was a stalker, my sister.
That's it. Here's what we're gonna do going forward, guys. As you guys know, I love the Clubhouse app. We're making money in the Clubhouse app. I'm not gonna be one of those that try to lie and hide about it. We're making money in the Clubhouse app, and what I'm going to cultivate is a culture of people who's actually making money that for what's in their business. So whenever I open up a stage with 10K cards from now on, I'm only going to choose 2 moderators, whether they're hitting the goals or no. And everyone else that we're going to mod on stage, I'm going to make sure that they're actually moving 5 of the products weekly. The reason I'm doing that, guys, God works in mysterious ways. And one of the things that I want to be known for here on the app is people are actually leveraging their relationship with direct access to me to close deals for themselves and for others. Okay, because I don't want to be one of those guys that's on stage with a bunch of people who anyone Clubhouse has to question their identity or their stance. So anyone that you guys are going to see me on stage with tomorrow, if they're not making 5 sales and over a week, I'm not going to put my reason on them. That's number one. Number two, any one of our partners that want to open up a room, we're going to co-sponsor the room with the partner. How we're going to sponsor the room? We're going to present an offer, and we're going to give away one of the basic cards as a gift. So anyone that wants to use Clubhouse to make money, they're a partner with us. You're going to open up the room, whatever topic, and one of the best ways you find us working really well is putting your card in the title. So, for example, let's say you, Melissa. Let's say you're what's your name, Melissa? Melissa. Right. So, Melissa, now you're talking about goddamn language. You see, what I like about you, Melissa, when I click on your profile, I'm seeing Melissa10K.com. That's fucking genius what you did. So, one of the things that I want you to do is in your title of any room you're doing, include Melissa10K.com. Okay. Because when you include Melissa10K.com, at least someone they can actually go to that website and instruct me. And the reason I'm doing this, Melissa, I can promise you one thing. I became successful when people started saying no to me. I became successful when people started closing the fucking doors down. This is when I started kicking doors open and destroying the engines, alright? So the doors could have to close down again. And me applying this fucking pressure on anyone in my environment is to demand more of yourself. Is that fair to ask you?
That's fair.
And this is what I'm going to be doing with everyone, guys. So this is just my full disclosure. That's what it's going to be going forward. And I'm going to hold everyone around me accountable for actually producing more. I'm not here for the popularity trophy. I'm here for the production trophy. Let's all go out and make a goddamn change in the world. Miss Sharon, how are you?
I'm doing well.
All right, Sharon, I hope you don't think my tone is too harsh. It's only to polish the diamond on these individuals not shining bright enough. Is that okay with you?
It's perfectly fine.
And one thing I want to share with you, whenever you hear me speaking, I'm speaking from the heart. And this young lady I'm moderating, she brings her whole damn team over to 10KCARDS. So you don't have to question that on that one. And it's forcing people to get the damn 10KCARD. Can you imagine that? That's it. And it says you need a 10KCARD. I won't buy one for all of you. And thank you so much for what you did with, is it Nick?
Yes, Nick's my preferred lender. And I texted him. I said, hey, you have to get this card. And he said, okay. And then I said, all right, here's 5 new agents that just joined my team, and they need cards too. And so he bought it for them.
So just so you guys know, and by the way, Anna, and this is for everyone on stage from now on. Whenever I open up a room, I'm only gonna have, like, if I need an emergency, 2 moderators with me. I'm just gonna mod two trusted mods. That's number 1. Number 2, anyone that's wear a mod badge on our stage, those individuals are actually moving a minimum of 5 cards. And then I would say I'm gonna wait until the momentum start growing and only get mod who's actually 10 cards a week. This is why. I don't want anyone rocking this not making money. If you're not making money, I do not want you to be too close to me. I'm being honest with you guys. I don't mean it's like an asshole if I do. I'm not making any apology for it.
I had to show Sean my 1099 before he brought me up here and gave me a green bean.
Don't let out the bush, you guys. I was on the phone here today. And one of the things that Anna's going to commit to doing is actually, in fact, we're going to do a room from the one once we go to do. So once we do a room together and start bringing all these agents on board, and you're going to start basically sharing your leadership skills. Because when I hear you speak, if I was into real estate, I would have definitely stand up with you and think about it. Because leadership is important. And when I hear you speak, I hear the selflessness within your leadership, okay? I'm going to call you publicly for it, and in fact, I'm going to hold you accountable for actually sharing that part of you with the world. I want to share with the audience what we spoke about today. No secrets in my world. Welcome to the subject.
Which thing? Let me think. We talk about
what you're going to be doing. You're going to commit 1 hour a week from now on
to hosting a room specifically for helping agents, teaching them about the things you really need to know, want to know, and just don't know where to get the guidance for it. And rather than spending my time on Clubhouse as I do, it's more passive, which is so surprising because there's nothing passive about it. And I know the reason why is because you have to commit to a schedule. And I just don't
I didn't have the desire for that until I could understand what actual good it would do. So in a conversation with Sean earlier, I said, you know what, you're right. It's just the consistency of saying this is the day and time in which I will show up and share and be completely transparent. So I'm going to commit to a day and an hour starting next week and just have it on the calendar and show up.
And that is awesome, Anna. I would love to be a part of that, even though I don't have my license, but I do go for that. My classes start at the end of this month.
One of the things to know is that, the one thing to know is whether you have your license or not, what I'm going to be helping her to do is to add value to the real estate community. That's going to be the main purpose of that, how she's going to be committed to. And in fact, I know I'm going to do a course once with you on Clubhouse for 1 hour. And then if you have the time and the patience to do Zoom with them, you can do the Zoom, no problem. But I'm going to commit to the Clubhouse with you. Because I'm going to continue my time from now on with co-moderating, of course, watching the from now on. My purpose of the Clubhouse is going to be very specific. Either A, running my own damn rooms, or B, showing up in rooms that I'm co-sponsoring. That's it. I have no time nor patience to show up anywhere else for anything else.
You know, Sean, you just reminded me too, the other thing that I said to you, and we have about, 50-50 men and women in here. Should I ask the other question?
100%.
Now I'm starting to remember. So, guys and ladies.
By the way, just the same name that you mentioned was the same guy that I thought it was, and he is, a fish is a fish is a fish, let me put it that way. So the same name you mentioned earlier, when I cross-referenced it was the same guy I was thinking about. So anytime you're ready to fucking call his ass out, I'm here with you because I don't like this emotion.
So it's funny because we were just talking about, there's just the lack of validation or verifying people who they are on these stages, right? And there's another room right now about the whole mod stupidity and who gets the green bean or whatever. And I go into these rooms and, half of these, not half, I don't want to overstate, but let's just say at least some names and faces that I remember that have reached out to me for all kinds of advice, business, real estate investing, teen growth, whatever it may be. And they're up there on this stage with, the green bean, if you will, as if they have something of value to offer to others. And I know quite well they haven't done shit themselves, right? So it's like, now you just got a room of like some click, friend thing going on. And a whole bunch of other people have no idea what's going on. And they just follow the herd. And it gets a little ridiculous. And it makes me want to not be on Clubhouse. And I'm just trying to find my way of what do people really want? What are you actually looking for? What are you looking to learn, to grow, and collaborate on? And then we got to talking about, this is my 9th year in real estate, so I'm just curious. I really would love to know by raise of hands or, unmute, whatever, however you want to figure this out. But then be honest with yourselves. You've got a man in the room who states, in my real estate career, made $100,000 in my first year, $1 million in my 8th year. Would you like to learn how? You have a woman who makes the same statement, and I'm no sexist, and I'm not any of that nonsense, and I'm not this like woman's lib or any of that bullshit either. But if a woman makes the same claim, and both are true, the man did it and the woman did it, as women in the room, do you feel some kind of way about that? Like it sounds egotistical, or maybe not arrogance, but just some kind of way. But it's just so accepting in our society for a man to say that, but a woman should feel some kind of way about it.
That's powerful. I'm glad that you shared that. That's the one thing I've noticed about some of the rooms that I have gone in. And these are high leverage rooms, and you can look up the backgrounds of the individuals who created the room. They're incredible. But the thing that amazes me is it would take someone like Grant Cardone to visit the stage and set the record straight before those who know better would say anything. And I will have to say this, I lose a certain amount of respect for people who don't have a backbone enough to stand behind who they are. Because I'm from the country. I'm from Mississippi, where if you draw that gun, you better dang well be ready to use it. You don't just sit here and pretend and play house. This isn't a game. Making money is not a game to me. So don't play with my time like that. It's very offensive. And then you allow so much foolishness that your room becomes very disruptive and nobody wants to be a part of that. You know, like spirit, respect like spirit. And one of the things I've learned by following 10K is he don't deal with no foolishness. So I like that. He's a straight shooter because I don't have time for games. And if I land in the room where I see some foolishness going on, I'm gone. You can put me on the stage. You put a green bean. I didn't know what a green bean was until they started the room talking about green bean. I'm like, what the hell is a green bean? Oh, that's an asterisk. That's just a green asterisk. Really? And I just do not understand. So what I can say to you is, if you're true to yourself, you are who you are. You're solid with me. But if you some foolishness, it's like in the real world. I won't have anything to do with you. If you're lukewarm and I have to steal you out of my spirit.
What's up, Joey? Let me give Joey a quick chance to chime in. Joey, what's up, brother? Welcome to the family, man.
Good evening. Yo, Anna and Tiffany just hit the nail on the head. I just left a room, speaking of, with Grant Cardone in it. And, like, it was just so it was so disrespectful. So disrespectful. Like, so many people were looking and trying to share their stories and stuff. Like, and even the mods of the group were just like, I was like, this is just, the energy is just not there. Like, there are people waiting that were even back channeling me, saying that they were messaging to get their hands raised. And they got too, like, haughty for my liking. I saw 10K in the room. I was like, oh, cool. At least something I can actually deal with people who aren't going to waste my time and energy, and people who actually want to upbuild people by actions and not just talking. So, anyways, thank you.
I was like, Lord Jesus, where's the 10? I was looking for the 10K room at 9:59. Like, Jesus, I need 10K room quick.
I love it. But as I mentioned, and Joey, I'm so happy that you're here because one of the only rooms I'm actually gonna accept the invitation on stage is actually Jonathan's room. Because Jonathan, from day one, bro, man, respect, ultimate respect, it's always been that way. But he's a little fucking jokers, man. Look, guys, here's what I'm here to tell you. Today taught me one thing very, very important. Be careful of the titles that you walk into. If someone is really your friend, why are they hosting a title that's bullshit? I'm going to say this again. If someone is your friend and they know that you represent something that's progressive and something that's productive, why are they inviting you into a certain room that's not forward thinking or in alignment with your brand? So, I've just made a public announcement now. Going forward, my boy Jonathan, J. Massey, or Otis, any one of these productive guys that pull me into the room, or even Luncheon, or whichever sponsor along with Don, in the event that's coming up, we'll go to those rooms, not a problem. But if it's not something that's going to add value to a human being and justify your time spent in that environment, I ain't fucking with it. That's the nice thing. Because at the end of the day, when people see you, they're like, okay, that's interesting. Jonathan, hey, let me see what's happening. So be careful where you're pulling people to trust you. Be careful where you're pulling people that you have some kind of influence with. Let's just be careful. Clubhouse is an amazing place, guys. But you have to make the decision what is going to mean for you. So study the titles of the room very carefully. And as I mentioned, one of the things that I'm going to be doing personally, guys, is no disrespect to no one. But personally, for the next 2 weeks, anyone that's on stage with me that's not making, that's not doing up 5 sales a week, I'm not moderating them on the stage with me. This is fine. I want someone on stage or in the audience to be inspired to be a part of the 10KCARDS family. I wanted to look and say, you know what? I want to be beamed in that stage 1 week. Hey, it's possible for everyone. Just go into minimum of 5 sales, and then after the first 2 weeks, I'm going to raise the total to 10. I do not want someone hanging with me that's not making money. I want to help other people make money. That's all I'm looking to do. This app is so full of fugazis and fugazis. I don't want to be a part of that bullshit. It's all over. It's everywhere. Spend time with me and say, Sean, how can we make some goddamn money together? Let's have that conversation. That's what I want to do.
Can we have that conversation?
Let's go for Joy.
I want you to come on my Invest 360 show. That's something I got is in November.
November, okay, that works.
Yeah.
Okay, so Joy, I'll be so honest with you, bro. I do not work with a calendar for a reason. I'm the guy that's putting on fires. We're going at such a fucking rapid pace right now. That second one to me is a no-no. You know, I give myself one number personally. If you can call me the day before, say, Sean, here's what I'm looking to achieve, I can show up. I'm the guy that can wing into the moment.
We'll talk. I'll get your cell phone number. We'll talk in all the ways that can work.
You got it. You got it, Joey. We'll make that happen. That's easy.
Yep.
But let's do one. Just say something, Quinn.
I said, Sean, how we gonna make some goddamn money?
Well, now you talk my goddamn language. Shit. So here's the ways to make money, guys. Step one. Find a title that you're passionate about. Find a title that's matching your brand. Find a title that matches your experience. Put that title on the room. And then in the title, add your 10K card in the title. Don, we're going to be doing a room from now on as well. At least one room a week from now on. And you're going to have Don10K.com in the title as well. So I'm going to co-moderate the room with you, Don. We're going to start crushing it. Don, share with the audience what you mentioned there today. Let's start giving Don some headlines now. Go for it, brother.
So it's not a secret.
I know the secrets, but you know better. You know better.
Listen, what we talked about today, Sean, is that we're actually, I've been in business for 15 years, and we are consistently bringing on new clients. And believe it or not, we are, when I show up in rooms and talk about what I do, some people get me up on that channel. That sounds interesting. To be able to save interest, to be able to grow your equity 5 times faster, that no one really understands how an amortization schedule actually works, and we teach that. And then they hit us up. And then, so we're actually bringing on clients out of Clubhouse. And so to get the word out, I was talking to Sean today, and I said, why don't we, because I do referral fees. And I said, why don't we just double our regular referral fee for people who come on board from Clubhouse, who share their personal experience with our company. It's not hype. This is what I've experienced. This is what we're getting out of it, and share that in Clubhouse rooms. And then and on the 10K card there's going to be a link that says something about if you want to know more about Pill Method, click here and fill this out. And if that person becomes one of my clients, because of that, then the person who shared that information will get double our usual referral fee. And that's what we're talking about. So each new client now, each one of my new clients that comes on board out of Clubhouse, I am personally going to either get them their own 10K card or upgrade their current 10K card so that we can accommodate that button. So that's what we're going to be doing, and we're going to share the wealth and let other people, not only save money, but we're going to help them to make money. How about that, Sean?
That was freaking beautiful. And just to put it into layman terms, guys, what Don will be doing is when he has clients that's already using the product, and once they're already using the product, they're going to make their test. They're going to do a testimonial video. That testimony that they'll be doing, Don is going to have a way where while they're sharing their testimony and others want to actually sign up with Don, when they click on the link that we're going to create for that client will be compensated. Is it $200, Don, for every customer they bring in?
That is correct.
That's right. I'm going to go a step further as well, Don. Anyone that's on Clubhouse, and this is what I was suggesting, and you'll tell what you think. Anyone that's on Clubhouse that's looking for a way to promote your product or services, and they can simply share what you do, I think you should give them an opportunity as well to carry that referral link for you. I'll give you an example. Lorenzo is right next to you. So Lorenzo was clapping while you were speaking. Lorenzo saw an opportunity where he could get an upgrade and actually share your product. Am I correct with that observation, Lorenzo?
Yes, you are. You're very correct, John.
And why would you want to promote? So why would you want to promote Don's product or service? Why would you want to do it?
Actually, it would benefit. It would benefit both of us because we both would benefit off of it. And to learn more, as well as to use his services and to refer other people to his service.
Don, you want me to share the power of the Green Beam and the Power Association? Lorenzo is not even aware of what the fuck your product is. He's not even aware of it. But the fact that Lorenzo see the two of us during conversation like this, that's one of the influence and factor that make Lorenzo want to go to your product. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right. That's right. That's right.
And Don, this is where I'm going to be very careful as I head out on stage, because I don't want anyone making a decision to do business with anyone that I'm in conversation with them, in thinking that we're connected in any way. So Lorenzo, yep, I am connected with Don in many ways. We're co-sponsors on the shows that show us come up in New York, and Don is one of our premium customers. He pays us $800 a month for one of our premium services. This is a gentleman on stage, guys, I will tell you that put his money where his mouth is. He doesn't talk the talk, only he walk the goddamn talk. So Don, I will publicly call you out on stage for that one, bro. I appreciate you, I respect what you do, and you have my support wherever we go. And here's something so funny, guys. Here's something so funny. Without calling names, Don, I want you to share what your inception has been, what your welcoming has been to Clubhouse, the challenges that you have faced in Clubhouse, and what I've been doing from day one up until now with you. Share with the audience, please.
Oh wow! You know, let me put it to you this way, and I'm going to share a little story with you guys. Okay, I'm going to ask this question: if I said ulcers are caused by, what would you say? Ulcers are caused by what?
Stress, fear, alcohol.
Yeah. And so a lot of people think that. But it's two guys in the outback of Australia. And this is in the early 80s. They actually discovered that ulcers.
Actually, if there's a virus.
Yeah. It's actually a bacteria called H. pylori. And they discovered it back in the early 80s. And no one, I mean absolutely no one in the medical community in their country or anywhere else believed them, laughed them to scorn, and just shut them down completely. They couldn't get, they wrote papers on it, nobody believed it, until one day the guy says, you know what, I'm going to mix some of this stuff up. I'm going to drink it, and gave himself an ulcer and cured it with what we call Pepto-Bismol today. You see, ulcers were big business, and they were treated with surgery, but then they would just return because the bacteria was still present. So my point is this: they discovered this in the 80s. They didn't get they got the Nobel Prize in 2005. Not many people suffered and died because no one would even ask an intelligent question. So here's what we're talking about, folks. That when I look at an immunization schedule, because I was blessed with pattern recognition because of Asperger's, and for 87 years, people have been paying loans, paying back mortgages, without really understanding how amortization actually works. Let me tell you who doesn't know how amortization works or a mortgage works. Real estate agents. Not part of the test. You don't need to know to sell a house. You don't need to know how a loan works. Mortgage professionals who sell mortgages, they don't know how a mortgage works. CPAs, financial planners, none of them know. So when one person comes along and says, you know what, you can cut your interest costs by 75% without refinancing, without changing your budget, and without sacrificing lifestyle. And I've been in some groups getting tremendous pushback because of that, because no one believes that can be done. But better yet, no one has actually asked the question, how is it done? So this is what we're talking about. So what we're doing is bringing on people who actually said, I think there's something here. And then they get me up on the bench. And some of them are still in these rooms not talking about it, but they hit me up on the back channel. But once they realize what's going on and we show them, they are amazed at what's really going on behind the scenes. What is happening is tantamount to financial violence. You see, when you have a 3% mortgage, it's not 3%. You're going to pay back 51% of what you borrowed, meaning a 3% mortgage for 30 years. Let's say it's a $200,000 mortgage. $200,000 mortgage at 3%. The bank wants $103,000 in interest. How is that 3%? It's 51%. If it's a 4% mortgage, they want 71% of what you borrowed in the form of interest. If it's 5%, they want 93% of what you borrowed in the form of interest. And if it's a 6% loan, they actually want 115.838%. They actually want more money in interest than you borrowed in principal. And so with the timing that they use, there is an inherent weakness in their timing. And because of Asperger's, I can see it. And by doing some simple things, you can actually save yourself thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in interest you don't need to pay. I got a gentleman here in Huntsville, Alabama, who's a real estate investor, $2 million in commercial property. We're actually going to save him over $800,000 in interest because of this program. It's not just education. It is proprietary software. It does all the math and tells you how much money to move, what month to move it in, what day of the month to move it on, and which loan to attack. And then the program figures out exactly how much interest you will save. And if you think about it, folks, just think about it. Everyone here has paid extra on a loan at one time or another. And your bank, your credit union, your mortgage company, who holds your car loan, none of them have ever sent you a receipt saying this is how much interest you saved by paying this extra money. And you know what's worse? Because of our conditioning, we never even bother to ask. I'm done.
Wow, that's just a big get over. I viewed your profile. I do understand now that you what type of work that you're into, and it's a shame that that is going on. Just like you said, it's financial. It's just a big burden. It's almost as if they're gangsters. They're getting you to borrow this money, and you're paying all this compounded interest, and it's not even going towards the principal for the first few years. which is crazy.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So when you take a look at breaking down that, when you break it down, way too much money is going to interest. Way too little money is going to principal. But just by knowing what to do, you can turn that around. So more of your money goes to principal, less money goes to interest. So here's the thing. How do we attack a loan? You don't need more money. You just need to pay less interest. How do we do that? It's a process called interest cancellation. And I teach it for free. I have to educate people on how to do this for free so that they can become a paying client, because there's nothing in the background that will help them to understand what we do. We must educate all of our clients for free so that they can become a client.
Powerful. Thank you so much, Dawn, for sharing that. That's amazing. I mean, that in and of itself is like an education on health and wellness and the financial sector all wrapped in one. I really appreciate you. I personally have fought the H. pylori virus myself, and it took me 3 years for them to find out what was going on with my debilitating pain in my stomach. And you can only get that infection typically from person to person. And there's only one person that would have gotten it from. And I had to go on a 3-week course of antibiotics. It was very painful. And once I was done with that, I felt like me again. And I had to go to 12 or 13 different doctors before they figured out that that was one of the issues I had that was really causing a lot of my discomfort. So powerful. And like that debilitating pain, amortization is a pain as well. And like you said, people don't understand it. And before, I was just going online using the tools, the generators, to calculate my amortization because, again, I didn't understand how it worked. I just knew it didn't make sense. Why are you paying so much for this house? And why are they saying you're only paying 3% when the numbers don't lie? It's not making sense. So I appreciate that. What you said was powerful. Amazing. Thank you so much.
So I'm just curious, as the realtor in the room, but full disclosure, prior to becoming a realtor, I did manage a housing counseling agency, and prior to that, I was a loan officer. And having been at many settlement tables for myself as well as clients, either when I was a lender, now a realtor, or an investor, homeowner, all those times, every single time you sign mortgage documents, one of the many mortgage documents that you're signing is what the loan amount is today and what after the end of 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever program mortgage term you're obtaining, what the full balance will be at the end of that 30-year term. So they're not shielding that information from any consumer. And with what Don is saying with regards to making additional payments towards principal only to re-amortize and shorten the length of a 30-year, easily down to a 21-year, depending on whether you're doing an additional payment per year to reduce to a 21 or not. But I guess my question is this, not to ramble because it's late and I guess I am rambling. We all understand that the reason why we're taking out the loan is because we don't have the liquidity, or we have the liquidity, but money's cheap to borrow right now, so we borrow the money at whatever interest rate that is, and we continue to make those payments over time, generally never with the intent to actually keep that property or that loan for the length of the 30 years that we take it out for. I guess I'm missing the memo or the message or something that is just not connecting in my brain, Don.
I get that, and it's easy to come to that conclusion. But what we're doing is you want to be able to take a look at what the loan is actually costing you. I mean, per month. How much interest are we consuming per month? Most people have no idea. And when we take a look at what we call cheap money, hold on for just a second while I bring some stuff up on my screen, and I'll give you an example. So I'm looking at $350,000 at 3.5% for 30 years. Principal and interest payment is $1,571.66. Okay, on the very first payment, $550,000.
I was just going to say, at least $1,100 is going towards interest, and probably not even $400 is going towards principal.
Right. It's $550.83 to principal, $1,020.83 to interest. Okay, so everybody knows that you can pay extra on a loan. So here's what we've been told: you do a bi-weekly payment, and when you do a bi-weekly payment, you can cut, between 4.9 and 7 years off the loan. So the most you can save is 7 years, so you can turn a 30-year loan into a 23-year loan. What we're talking about is paying off this loan in about 7 years, saving 23. So here's what we're taking a look at now. And are you sitting there would you happen to be sitting at a computer?
I'm not, but I can figure it out on my phone, possibly.
Okay. Well, here's the site I'm looking at. The guy's name is Brett Whistle, BRET, WHISSEL, S is in Sam, S is in Sam, E-L. And here's an amortization calculator that actually gives us cumulative principal and cumulative interest. Cumulative principal and cumulative interest. So if you can pull that up, and anybody who's at a computer who wants to find that out, I'll just let you tell us the numbers. So find Brett Whistle's amortization calculator, and anybody who sees it, who has it, can flash their mic or say something, or even come out of the audience. Raise your hand and says, I'm looking at it. And we're going to ask you some of these numbers, and you'll be able to see it for yourself. Okay?
Mr. Don.
You got it? Who's that?
Melissa.
Melissa. All right. So, Melissa, if you have it, right now, the amortization calculator, it defaults at $100,000. So to take the $100,000 out of the principal line and put $350,000 there. And we're going to take the 6% out of the annual interest rate and put 3.5%. When you do that, you're going to put a check mark where it says show amortization schedule, and you're going to click calculate. When you do that, let me know what you see.
Is that for 30 years, correct?
That's for 30 years. We're not changing anything else except what I told you.
Total mortgage, it says $161,640.
What are you looking? Are you looking at the amortization calculator for Brett Whistle?
Okay, no, that did not pull up Brett.
No, I just did it just to save time and while you're looking for it. So $350,000 loan at 3.5% interest, 30 year. Your monthly payment is $1,571.66. Your principal and interest is, the principal borrowed is $350,000. However, the total repaid is $565,797.60. So $565,797.60.
And how much of that is just interest?
$215,797.60 is the interest.
Okay, and over to the right hand side, total interest paid as a percentage of principal is what?
61.656, so 61.656%.
That's a 61% loan all day, folks. Wow. I know that? You know how I know that? Because if you borrow $1 from me, and I say pay me back $1.61, you're gonna say, what interest rate is that? That's 61% all day. All day. I don't care. Would it matter if I call it 3.5?
No, because it's still 61%.
Exactly. So here's what
Daisha, did you have any value to that? I'm sorry. I was actually Daisha. Does she have any value to that, or she's probably asleep?
Okay. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at this thing. Now remember what I told you is that when we pay extra, we really don't know what happens. And I'm just going to give you some basic numbers as to what happens when we prepay a loan. So if we take a look at payment number 1, and let's call that January. And we pay January's payment for $550.83 goes to principal, and $1,020.83 goes to interest. So if we're taking a look at payment number 1 this January, what's the principal payment for February? Anyone?
$552.43.
Is there anything? So, do we have to wait till February to give the bank that $552.43?
No.
If we had it, could we give it to them in January?
As long as you make sure that they're accepting that as principal only, or they're going to put it into some damn escrow account, acting foolish like they don't know why you sent it.
Exactly. That's exactly what happens. What she says is exactly right. You will get the money back at the end of the year, though, but with no interest.
So you literally have to tell them, hey, I want this to go towards the principal, right?
No, you literally have to follow the rules that they have for principal prepayment.
Oh, so it's like an early, so you can get penalized for an early payoff. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that not every bank has the same way of making principal prepayment early.
Okay, I understand. I'm sorry, I understand.
So you can follow the rules of one bank, like write it in the memo section of your check, or put a note in the envelope. Okay, one bank will accept that, another one will not. And if you don't follow their rules, they're just going to stick that money in your escrow account and not apply it to principal.
Now,
Okay.
I have a question for you, Don. So this does not bring into consideration that the down payment, once you reach that 20% level, you can cancel PMI. It's not considering, home increases as far as the value increases over time. This is strictly talking about the money piece of the equation,
Exactly.
borrowing power.
The borrowing, how borrowing is taking advantage of the fact that we don't understand how an amortization schedule works. For the past 87 years, no one has really understood it.
So,
okay.
Do you think that? But here's the thing, though. I hear you because I do some repayments, and I do pay my loan.
May I finish this point? And then I'll take a question.
Absolutely.
Great. Okay, so if we take that $552.43 and pay it in January, okay, I'm paid down to the principal balance on line 2, correct? The $348,896.74. I'm paid down there in 1 month, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that means my next mortgage payment for February is on line 3 of the schedule, doesn't it?
Yes.
So my payment is $554.04, and my interest payment is $1,017.62, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What happened to the $1,019.23 on line 2? What happened to that interest payment?
Yes. Did it get removed?
Exactly. You never have to pay it. You just got rid of one payment, on your amortization schedule for a little over $500. You reduced it from 360 payments to 359 payments for $552. And you just reduced your overall interest cost by $1,019.23. Has anybody ever pointed that out to you?
Hell
Yeah,
no.
for me, but those of us who are in this industry, yeah, you're going to know a little bit more than the average.
Yes, but that has been pointed out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Actually, in my church, we actually did an amortization study like this. We had someone like yourself in our church, and this was years ago. So before I even did it, I knew it. But you know what? It's not average. Most people don't know.
Okay, so let's take a look at line 12, where you have cumulative principal for $6,716.99, and it costs $12,142.93 in interest to get $6,700 in potential equity at 3.5%. Okay, so should it cost $12,000 to get $6,700 worth of potential equity?
Absolutely not.
Okay, now, and here's the thing. If we did that, if we're taking a look at equity, and we're actually at the same time looking at the interest cost of obtaining that equity, do we really have equity?
I don't think you do.
Not
It
yet.
costs me $12,000 to get 6.
Yeah.
Is that why some people's equity is super low? Like maybe like my best friend, her equity after this is her 19th year in her home, her equity wasn't as high as she thought it would be after her paying for 19 years.
Do you know why? Because it takes 19 years to pay off the first half of the loan. You pay off the second half of the loan in the last 11.
So basically, you're paying the entire interest for 19 years, and the payoff is within the 4 years.
There you go. So here's what we're looking at, folks. So you have to pay out over $19,000 just to get $6,000 in equity. So here's my question. If we already know that we have to pay $6,716.99, we have to eventually pay that because we borrowed that money. The interest we didn't borrow. So your mortgage payment has nothing to do with the interest column. Your mortgage payment is only the principal column. The interest column is nothing but rent on your money. We go from renting a property to renting money our entire lives. So here's what we're doing. So if we know we eventually have to pay $6,700.99, do we have to pay it in 12 monthly installments?
No, it's not.
Yeah, if we have it, could we pay it in one installment on line 1? Yes. If we did, what would happen to all the interest payments between line 2 and line 12?
It's gone.
They gone. So here's what I'm talking about. If you have, in this case, if you have an extra $6,000 sitting in the bank, making 0.1%, and if you could apply it to this mortgage, you could pay it all the way down to line 12 in 1 month, and all it would cost you is $1,020.83 in interest. That's the interest on line 1, and not $12,142. That's what I'm talking about.
You're a smart guy, man. Damn, you are smart. I can tell you've been doing this for a long time. So if anybody in the clubhouse that I run into, I'm gonna damn sure tell them to follow you and to learn to get some of your products, man, because you can save people a ton of freaking money, bro. A ton of money.
Maybe you have a sponsor to help.
Yes.
I know. I'm going to
How can I add your card to my card to refer? Plenty of people that I know that just literally bought houses within the last 2 years with 30-year mortgages.
Folks, we're developing that.
Michelle?
For the 100th time.
Well, you have so you're like a superhero. You're like superhero.
I love it. So take a look at this, guys. Very simple. Anna, did you hear everything Don has to say?
Yes.
Does anyone, what's your feedback on what Don just shared? Straight talk, no bullshit.
I appreciate you giving me that permission, Sean.
That's what needed. Especially for you, that's so needed. Such an introvert you are.
It's just nice to hear. Because I'll give my opinion away for free, that's for sure. No, Don, that is all very great education that every consumer should have. What I can tell you, however, is dealing with whether it is low income all the way to millionaires, they get no smarter. They're as dumb. I don't care if they're making $1 million or if they're only making $100,000 and own a home. I have worked with way too many clients, and I become their advisor, not their salesperson, because I, the politest way that I can, tell them why did you go? And what I mean by that is, here's the issue, here's the problem with this whole thing. People do know about this. They like to forget. The lenders do share the amortization sheet with them. It's part of their closure disclosures that must be shared. And we get all the problems and consumed and anxious, and we're buying a house. We got all sorts of shit happening, and the washer dryer's being delivered, and it goes out the window, right? But in reality, then what happens is month 1 and month 2 is you move in and you start painting and you start buying and you start doing, and you're lucky if you have enough for payment number 1. Nevertheless, a portion of which is principal, the $500 and change, for payment number 2 to send with your payment, because you're barely scraping by in the first place. And guys, I will tell you, this does not matter if you're making $50,000 a year or $500,000. I work with clients who live in ridiculous homes, who make a significant amount of money, and they're making the same mistakes. They are living paycheck to paycheck. It is a cultural, societal problem that we are ingrained and taught as a society to figure out if you feel comfortable with the payment. You walk into a car dealership, what's the only thing they want to know? What are you looking to spend a month? Right? Same thing with the house. What are you paying in rent right now? Where do you feel comfortable in a monthly mortgage payment? Let me show you how to get into that payment. They're not looking to show you how to become financially wealthy, right? So we're barely making our payments on time. We're not even thinking about sending additional payments towards principal to actually not owe as much as this, this amortization schedule is showing you right now. And it's because we're not thinking, we're not saving, we're not investing, we're not paying ourselves first, which is rule number 1, right? The way to pay yourself first, then pay your bills, is because you're supposed to be living within and below your means, not over them. So that's the bigger problem, Don, is that we're not, as a society, we are not ingrained, it is not habitual to pay ourselves first, to tithe, to save, and to reinvest.
Mm-hmm. And that's that emotion. I'm in a similar industry. I have sat there and gone over the amortization schedule with my clients. And I tell them, do you know how much this is going to cost you? And I'm looking at your budget because I have to evaluate all of that to make sure that you're going to pass underwriting. And I can tell you that the only thing that they say is, if you get me to this monthly payment right here, I think I can squeeze money from somewhere else. And I'm like, that's a poverty mentality, because you're about to pay through the nose for this loan. And I'm sitting here hurting for you, and you just don't give a damn. And you better understand that this is going to come back and haunt you when your kids are ready to go to college and they don't have a dime. So I'm going to sit here and go through this because it's the law. I have to do that. But I'm going to explain it in a way, and I'm going to break it down to you for you to understand the true cost of this money. It's a blood loan. Why would you do this? Why would you reason. And I can tell you that the society that we're in, we're going to have to educate those who actually want to get out from under the thumb of the man and forget the rest of them, because they're going to keep going into debt over and over. And then, well, I can't take it with me. It's mindset, Don. And I appreciate you doing this, because it is frustrating. It's tiresome and cumbersome when you try to educate people about this, and they just don't want to listen because it doesn't feel good.
Here's what's happening. I'm sorry, everything you guys are saying is absolutely true. Everything you're saying is true. But the reality is, if you put enough information out there, these folks keep me busy calling my office. They keep me busy from 8 in the morning to 8 at night. So here's what we don't do. We don't talk to people who don't want to talk to me. We only talk to people who want to talk to me. And if you have enough information out there, if you have enough videos out there, if your Instagram is cranking, if you've got advertising out there, if you've got a book that has been on the top 100 on Amazon for the past 33 months, enough people will give you a call and will keep you in business.
It just seems like that we are a debt-driven society, and everybody has to go and get credit for something. Oh, I want a car. I'll get your credit. Oh, I want this. I'll get your credit. So I think that once you learn the ins and outs of it, like you done, and I think it would be a great service to the people. Like I said, everybody I run across the Clubhouse, done, I'm going to refer them to you, because you can really help out. Now, does this help when you're buying a car as well, or only just homes? All interest-bearing loans, you can cut your interest costs significantly. And here's the thing. We should use other people's money. Because the one thing that we've learned is that success leaves footprints, right? So you want to follow the people that are being successful in their business. So who has the biggest buildings downtown? Insurance companies. And banks, okay? So now, what do banks do? Banks are the biggest borrowers in town. They borrow our money and do what with it? Use it for interest. Because when you got, in some banks, if you have over $1 million in it, they'll say they're using your money for people to borrow. They send you an interest-bearing check every month. Right. So they put it out there so that they can make money with our money. Correct. Correct. And what are they paying us for the use of our money?
Not a dime. Maybe
when they use our money, I'm sorry, I misheard you. I thought you were going to say using our money. Yeah, you're right. Okay. I understand. So here's what I'm talking about. Anything that can be done, we can do also. We can borrow their money, get a huge benefit for using their money, and pay them pennies on the dollar for using that money. So it's like borrowing money at a discount. Who doesn't like a sale? Who doesn't like to get discounts? 75% off your interest cost. Don't look at interest rate. Focus on interest cost. And there's plenty of people out there. One of my latest clients is actually a CEO of a very large hospital system in the United States somewhere. He and his team run this whole hospital complex. But I'm helping him to run his own personal finances and save him hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest, because even though he's running the hospital, they're running finances on what they've been taught, and what we've been taught is not how to save interest. How did he find out? I'm helping one of his doctors pay off 2 houses
in, was it 7 or 8 years, and saving them over $500,000 in interest. So he told us they didn't have. And so here's what I'm trying to tell you. If you read the book, Changing for Good, there are 6 stages of change. The first stage is pre-contemplation, meaning I'm not contemplating change. The second stage is contemplation, where I'm thinking about changing, but probably not within the next 6 to 12 months. Then there's preparation, where I want to change and I'm working towards getting ready to change. And then there's action. I'm actually going to implement the changes I've learned. So when I talk to people, they're either in deep contemplation or deep preparation or ready for action. I don't talk to people who are in pre-contemplation or contemplation because you can't skip steps. And I don't have time to help people get from pre-contemplation all the way to action. So we put enough information out there so that people who are ready for action, those are the ones who contact us. Does that make sense?
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you for encouraging, because sometimes, sorry, Renzo.
No.
In this sector, it's really hard. It really does you get exhausted. Saying the same thing over and over again, and after your 100 or 200 clients, you're like, I'm just going to stop because I'm just going to do this basic. Because they're really not going to listen. It's really hard. But I thank you for that encouragement, though. But, I would say that the statement that real estate agents don't know, oh, they do. Oh, they leveraging it. A lot of my real estate friends, they leveraging all of that. But they don't share with their clients because they like, once I told them, they were like, whatever. And I keep telling them and they won't listen. And so they just stop. They just stop telling them.
Well, guys, my eyes are getting very, very, very heavy. And, I'm going to go ahead and go to bed. I got a bunch of fish bowls I need to try to catch up with tomorrow to get some money in my pocket. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, 10K, man, for inviting me in the room, having me up here, man. And thank you, Mrs. Wise, Anna, Don, Joey, Deja, Beverly, Coach, John, everybody. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
You call him.
Yeah, good night, Lorenzo.
I will. I'll see everybody in Clubhouse 2.0.
For sure, man. We're looking forward to seeing you there, okay?
All right.
Question I didn't get I need a short answer of what you got from Don. Give me a short answer.
No, what I got from him, I love it, and that he's teaching through financial literacy and awareness to the consumer investor, whomever that it is. But I'll tell you, one of the things that I don't care for in the lending industry, to me, what the F word is in lending is the R word, which is don't worry about it. We'll just refinance you later. And I just cringe every time that happens. I cannot tell you how many clients I meet with who I'm looking at their mortgage records on public records, right? They want me to come sell their house. They just refied a year ago. Well, what the hell did you do that for? And I'm just a curious person, so I'll ask anyway, even though I'm there to sell their house. Sometimes I may even discourage them from selling their home based on what their actual goals or projections, their goals are for the reason for selling their home. My point is, and saying all of that is, no one even takes the time to recognize that every time you refi, you're adding to your loan balance. You've got closing costs, guys. Right? And so here was the best answer that I got from one client. Went from 3.75 to a 3% interest rate. Oh, but I saved whatever it was, $200 a month, right? I'm like, no, you didn't. You loaned yourself $200. Because here I am a year later selling your house. You just loaned yourself that money. You didn't save money because a year ago your loan balance was $310,000. Now it's $315,000 or whatever it was. You tack that onto your loan balance. Or when you've been living in a home for 10 years, you go to refi into another 30-year mortgage, and you're starting all over again, being heavy on the interest payment and low on the principal payment. You just finally got to a point in your amortization where you're actually making a dent in the principal, and let me just go refi into a whole new one. That, I will admit, lenders do not stop to explain to the average consumer. And I think more often than not, realtors actually don't understand it. It's not that they're hiding that information. The reason why I say that is when I did manage the HUD Housing Counseling Agency, and that's a lovely place. It's a nonprofit national organization where we're funded by the government, right? So if you've heard of the 995 Hope Line and things like that, back when they were doing loan modifications, HARP and HAMP, right? The Home Affordable Refi Program, the Home Affordable Modification Programs, right? So I worked for that organization, and I managed dozens of housing counselors who spoke to the clients and, gave advice over the phone and helped them get these loan modifications and such. I cannot tell you how many of the clients were realtors, loan officers, right? People in the real estate industry that you think they would know something, and they were in the same damn boat as everyone else, especially the ones who got those lovely neg am loans, right? Where they were paying the interest only for however many years, never actually making a dent, a payment towards principal. Then their loans would re-amortize, but they had balloon payments afterwards. And when you remember all the upside down loans, right? So now they have no equity or negative equity in their property, and they're still making those payments. And they're like, when am I going to get out from under this? When? You never should have bought the damn home in the first place. Because if they're giving out those loans to a bus driver who's making $45,000 a year, when those loans were intended for people like stockbrokers, right? People who would want to make the lowest payment possible for several months of the year, then make a tremendous payment 1, 2, maybe 3 times a year because of how their income flowed or their cash flowed, right? That's who those big M loans were designed for, but they were handing them out to teachers and, regular salaried employee people who never had a fluctuation in their cash flow. It was always a consistent income on these ridiculous loans. So yes, in that regard, they were misled, misinformed, and given something that they should not have ever purchased or loaned for in the first place. But I'll put that back on the consumer too, because if you're making $50,000 a year, and someone comes up to you and says you can buy this $500,000 home, you gotta know something's up, right? It just doesn't end up. So there's got to be some responsibility on us, on the average consumer, to have some damn common sense and wherewithal to know that that's some kind of bullshit.
Let me point something out because of what Anna just said. Because somebody refinanced this loan, this $350,000 loan, okay? And I'm going to change the interest rate to 2.9. Okay, we're going to get a new payment. Okay, there's now $1,456.80 at 2.9, and they paid $10,000 for this refinance to save this money. Okay, so we paid $10,000 for this refinance, and if anybody's still looking at the screen, to pay off the first $10,000 that was rolled into this loan, guess what? It takes 16 months to pay back the first $10,000. 16 months on 2.9. Guess how much interest they're going to pay on a $10,000 loan for 16 months? $13,354.15. So if I borrow $10,000 and I pay it back, and I pay back $10,000 in interest on top of that, what's that interest rate, folks? A $10,000 loan with $10,000 worth of interest. Interest rate, 100%. This is how, when we refinance, this is how banks get people with perfect credit to pay 100 to 130% interest on loans, and we don't even realize it's happening.
That's tragic. It really is. And, you know, I remember when all the housing bubble first happened back in 2008. And we had just had our home around here. You know, the bigger the house, the more fabulous, because, you know, they're just giving out loans like candy. And some of the builders got smart and said, well, we're going to get the secretary to buy this home, and then we're going to turn around and flip it and do a whole bunch of some dirty stuff happening. Well, behind that, what people don't understand is, while it might have been hush-hush, those of us who are in the state learned that a lot of people went to prison because of fraud. And it really, these loans that they were handing out opened the door to so much fraud and dishonesty that really, I don't even know if the industry has truly come back from that. Everyone's still on edge about loans now because of that, but yet no one is getting educated. So I'm really happy that you, Don, have decided to take up this cause, because it is so vital and so needed. And it'll keep you out of a lot of trouble. And Anna said something that was really powerful earlier that might have been missed. People don't want to live below their means. Since when have we become that kind of culture? I grew up in a family that you paid cash for everything. You didn't have loans on things. You didn't hold loans on things. If you got a loan, it was a pretty big freaking deal. And everybody had to pitch in to make sure they got paid off quick, because that was the culture. And now we're into fast money, fast living, and the bigger the better. If I can just project that I'm at this level instead of actually living at the level that you are, then it's all good. Well, no, like they say, the bill comes due. So I appreciate you educating people. For some people just need to face reality, because the bill comes due. So when are you going to start leveling up your education and trying to dig yourself out of this hole that you might have put yourself in? I can tell you from experience in dealing with clients, as well as those in my own family, who just decided to just keep borrowing and borrowing. I was like, the bill comes due though. So let's just dig yourself out of this. And you have to start at the amortization. Like you said, most people don't even know what that is. I said, well, let's pull out your loan doc. It's right there. So thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate that.
I love that endorsement. One thing you want to say, Don. I love that clear endorsement, Tiffany. Anna, is it an endorsement or a criticism of the presentation?
Oh, definitely. No, definitely an endorsement. I think the message that we delivered, I didn't know anything about what product he's selling or anything like that. So like seeing that Don personally, but what you shared here on the stage, I absolutely endorse. What comes next and what other teachings, programs, products, I can't speak to. I wouldn't know for that. But other than that, everything.
Cool, modern window. I remember when I met Don the first time. I saw his heart was in a good place. I knew he wanted to add value to everyone he come into contact with. But his information is not being received by some members very well. And and he's been dealing with some challenges with actually sharing with others what he's doing. But one thing you guys don't know about me, I'm a Lord Rich, I'm a fucking warrior. And I'm not going to allow anyone to push anyone to the side that I believe it. So I just wanted to make sure that we have Dawn's presentation up and up. And I know you're one that I really look up to when it comes to certain
you guys be up here in the bullshit. I see what's happening now. Okay.
It is what it is. Anyone that's around me that don't think that I'm going to always have a bullshit detector around me, well, that's not a thing coming. So I love that endorsement that you gave there with Dawn, because what it just did in my mind, Anna, you just created a way to invite Dawn to your stages as well, and to share with your audience and your community what information that you just shared. That's why I asked for your feedback. So whenever I'm asking questions, I'm looking for genuine, honest interactions. That's what I'm looking for. Because I don't need to come and tell you about Dawn. I need you to come and tell your audience about Dawn what you have an experience with it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
That's it. So Dawn, welcome to the Pressure Cooker.
Thank you. You know, Miss Tiffany, I'm going to give you something that something positive for all your clients who are responsible, who are living below their means and doing everything they can to save money, because somebody out there has this loan, this $350,000 loan, and has an extra $100,000 over and above what they actually need as a down payment. And they want to add that money to their down payment. And you're going to show them how they don't need to put that $100,000 down. Because if you still have this mortgage on your screen, $350,000 at 2.9%, and they get the whole $350,000 loan after they put down what is required as a down payment, brings it to $350,000. Don't let them put the extra $100,000 down. Tell them to keep that, establish the loan, and then if they want to put the $100,000 down, have them add it to principal. It takes them all the way down to line 138 on their amortization schedule, and it instantly saves them $101,000 interest.
Yes, it's all about strategy. And people need to learn to strategize their life. Yes, I did it. And I've done it for my clients before. And they're like, well, why can't, and, you know, my best friend, when I were having a discussion, and I said, you know, what I would advise you to do is to break this up and pay it over 7 years. She said, well, why? I have it now. I said, well, this is about strategy here. You don't want any kind of consequences with the Internal Revenue Service, and you'll end up paying them because you're going to take out money from your Roth IRA and other accounts. I know you're retiring, but there are consequences. And I created a whole report for her because I didn't want her to make those kinds of mistakes. That she's like, oh, I just don't know this. I just don't understand this. I said, I'll put the report together for you. What I can tell you is that was a huge disappointment because I only have people close to me that operate on a certain level because I have a very low tolerance for foolishness and wasting time and energy. And so once she saw that report, she took it to her broker and she took it to her investment manager, and they all said the same thing. Who created this? They know what they're talking about. This is amazing. And she said, well, I want your opinion because what I really want to do is the opposite. I want to put $100,000 down because, you know, really it was just for pure vanity and for bragging because no one really cared. But I said, this is not a good strategy. And when her tax bill came due after she decided to do what she wanted, irrespective of what we did, she was angry with all of us because the IRS hit her with penalties, 20%, to the tune of 20%. So she lost $26,000 down the drain, all because she would not listen. So I appreciate that. And perhaps if she had someone like you to really take it and break it down, I thought I had done that. Yeah, maybe I don't know. I think the three of us couldn't change her mind. But break it down. I'm like, for you to save and skip, and she was a penny pincher. For you to do that, to throw all of this away, and you could have helped orphans, the orphans that she sponsored. We are no longer friends, not close friends. We're associates now. And that was intentional because I don't have time for someone who wastes my energy like that.
Love it, love it, love it. Guys, let's do a quick sure, what's up?
I want to ask this question, but I guess it kind of circles back to Mr. Don. So earlier when I came in to the room earlier, you mentioned like putting out information, right? Putting out sufficient information. It seems like everybody here in this room tonight is to some extent involved to some type of finance, business, right? Whether it be property or the lending, whatever it may be. And so, just for example, like, realtors, right? I'm sure, like, anybody who's a realtor, they're happy and content with anybody who's willing and able to qualify for a loan and be able to buy a property, right? But as I've been hearing Mr. Don, and even like, with the example that Ms. Tiffany was talking about with her situation, it connects again very well because this is kind of like the target audience type of conversation, right? Like Don is making it clear who he wants to talk to and who he doesn't want to talk to, I guess if you could say it that way. And so my question is along the lines of that, right? For Mr. Don, like, how do you make sure that you know who you want to talk to, and how you're putting information out there so that you're having conversations with people who are going to value you and that you can do the type of work that you like to do?
Ron, that is a perfect question. How do we put it out there? We tell stories. We tell stories. We tell a story about a young couple who was just out of college, who have a brand new 30-year mortgage and their student loans. And we put out a video that says they, and include that in their story, they paid off that mortgage in 6.5 years. And the next year, all their student loans were paid off too. So we take that story, we put it in a video, and we put it on YouTube, and it goes viral. Over 300,000 views around the world. So you tell a story, and those who that story resonates with, and it will resonate only with those who are dissatisfied with the way they're paying their loans off now. That's it. And those who have been thinking about, how do I change this? How do I find a way to, is there a different way to do this? Those are the people that call. Or we tell the story of a teacher, a couple, they're teachers, and they really want the one of the couple to stay home and homeschool the kids, but even between their two salaries, they have $13.06 in the bank when I meet them. How in the world is one of them going to stay home when they only have $13.06 in the bank? Well, we tell the story of how they came on the program, and 11 months later they paid off 11 months later they pay off $24,000 in debt, and now she's able to stay home. And we're going to go back to that family. This was 6 or 7 years ago. We're going to go back to that family, and because their daughter just entered college with a full scholarship at 16 years old. So when you tell those kinds of stories, and people who are looking for something different call. Does that help?
Yeah, no, that helps. And so basically, is it your clear and full intent to work with individual who, and again, I'm not saying that these people have the worst situation ever, but just to kind of like, put a feel to things, right? Like crisis, right? So it seems like a lot of these people are in financial crisis, right? Is that when you want to focus on communicating with and serving
Absolutely. We've talked about people who are doing very well. I mean, they pay their bills. They just wanted to do something different. At that time, they didn't believe that they could survive on one salary, and that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to be able to live their life on one salary, and they felt that they couldn't. They needed to be shown how. The other couple was a teacher. She's a teacher, and he's a real estate agent. They weren't in crisis. They just had student loans and a mortgage. They just wanted to know, how do we pay this mortgage off in 6 years instead of 30 years to never? So no, not at all. Our clients aren't in crisis. Like I said, you probably missed the fact that one of my latest clients is a CEO of a major hospital complex. So not in crisis whatsoever. Just wanting to know how to do it differently. Does that help?
Yeah, no, that helps. But I think that's kind of also, again, like, just for generalization, right? Because I think that's that mindset that makes a difference, right? Like, for example, Miss Tiffany earlier, she was mentioning how she had a friend who has finances, right? But the mindset was maybe not necessarily there to allow for the work that needed to be done. And so the people that you're talking to have the mindset, it seems, and you've been able to plug into, identify who these people are, and then let you do what you know can be done. And so I think it boils down to that, to the mindset. So, but yeah, that helps.
I also want to interject something here too. The reason I believe, and oh my gosh, Juan, I'm so glad you brought this up. The reason I was able to shift my mindset, because I didn't grow up in a family that had means. We had access to assets because of inheritances, like land and physical assets, but not liquidity. But the thing is, I wanted to know more. And the thing that really shifted my mind about money, because I did not understand it in my younger years, I was going to college trying to be like everybody else, is I was blessed to have joined a church who really taught a lot about money and finances. A lot of them had gone through a situation where they had to actually, struggle to get to where they were and create investments. And it was along those times, maybe a few years later, that a product came out that was Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. And I actually, sorry, my phone did something. I actually was one of the leaders that helped teach that program. And when I went to Dave Ramsey's University, I'm like, well, we learned this at my other church. So sometimes just by happenstance and by a happy coincidence that you run into the right people with the right mindset, I was actually seeking out someone that thought differently about money. I no longer wanted to be around people who accepted that this is where we are, and when we all get to heaven, then we're going to, oh, what a wonderful time. No, I want it now, David. I live right here, right now. I want it now. And I want someone to teach me. So I was hungry. So thank you, Juan, for bringing that question up. How do you find that market? People who are hungry or hungry, oh, they're going to find you. And they're going to hold on for dear life.
Amen.
I think it's also the simple law of attraction, right? So like attracts like, and what you think about, you bring about. Simon Sinek said it best, I think, which is people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So going back to Don's point, telling your story, right? You're going to organically attract your tribe because they're aligned with your mission statement. So when you're building a business, I would go further. When I first started real estate 9 years ago, I was looking to sell homes, right? Then that transitioned to I want to build a business. Then that transitioned to I want to build a legacy, right? And as that transformed, evolved, and grew, it changed and revised and revitalized what my mission statement is. And the clearer I got on my mission, the easier the attraction part became. because people attract to like attracts like. Thank you, Tom. Did you get kicked out of your own room? I had to bring you back up and mod you. What the hell?
No, there's a room with Kanye at 10KCARDS.com that I'm a sponsor in that room, so that's what show face. John the Sheriff's on there and there. Guys, you know, goddamn politicians, okay? Don't get it twisted. Politicking while they're making money. So, did you get to a quick intro, guys? Or did you get a chance to present himself to the audience? Let's start from the bottom. We're going to do this for today. We can go to Queen's first. No disrespect. Lovely, how are you? Oh, Lovely. Lovely was not ready. All right, let's go to is it Deja?
Hello.
How are you, Deja? Present yourself to the audience. Let them know who you are.
Okay, sorry, I just had to turn the shower off. I'm listening while I'm in the shower, trying to get all the information. I'm Deja. I live in Maryland, and really, I just joined Clubhouse not too long ago, and just realized how wonderful a place it is to learn, especially by so many Black people. And I'm currently taking my classes to get my real estate license, but I really only took it to get the information. In my state, I don't want to be an agent. I want to, create generational wealth for my daughter and myself, in my life, because I hate my 9 to 5, and I just want to do something different, show my daughter something different. And so I'm just really here to learn. That's why you don't hear me talk too much, because I'm just taking it all in.
I love what you just said. I'm doing it for my daughter. I'm telling this point. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So, shout out to you. Love what you just said there. So you're 9 to 5. What is it right now?
So I actually work for child support, and I hate it. So I'm trying to get out of it. But
how long have you been doing it?
So I actually recently got divorced out of a really bad relationship, and just packed all my stuff and moved and drove and went to another state, and it was the first job that I got. So I've kind of been there for like a year and a half now.
So you've been doing it for a year and a half, right?
Yeah.
So would you say doing a job you hate is like drinking poison and living poison every day?
Yeah, you could say that.
So how much poison would it take before it knock you out?
Yeah, I've realized that already. So that's why I'm trying to get into something new, because I don't want to die.
Queen, I'll share something very simple with you. Your time is one thing that you cannot refund, okay?
Yeah.
So if you look back at a year and a half of your life and you were demanding a refund on that shit, you need to ask yourself this question: how much more time going into the future you want to spend in that situation? Do you think you've made enough connections on Clubhouse to make some residual money?
Not yet. Like I said, I've only been on here for maybe like a week and a half.
A week and a half?
Probably, yeah.
Your first was enough time.
Yeah.
So, what state are you in?
I'm in Maryland.
Maryland? All right. Have you heard of the 10KCARDS before?
I kind of see it a lot, but I don't really know too much about it.
How do you think you'll find out more about it?
Probably just research it more. But I thought it was like a club or something that I just. Is it not a club?
I'll send you a link here. I'll send you a link for the promotional version. I want you to check it out. Whenever you come around me, I'm the guy that likes to take action, okay? I'm not just to research. I'm just to take action and figure it out.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll send you a link that will get you started. And then after that, you'll move forward. You'll move forward from this. This is a free gift, FGL. Oh, crap, this is the wrong phone. All right, so I'm going to send you a link there just now. All right, that takes, in fact, wait a minute. Come on. In fact, you know what? I love this. Question to you, Deja. Which one of the members on stage had an impact on you?
I think, are you Are you Sean?
I'm Sean.
Okay, I don't know how this works. I don't know who's talking, but I think I might have messaged you about it, actually.
Okay. On Instagram?
No, on here. I think I asked you what it was, and you sent me a link back.
All right, so click on the link and tell me what you see. I already have one and stuff. So click on the link that I sent you. Let me know what you think.
I still don't know what it is. It just tells me to add information.
Read the link there for me. Let's hear what it is.
It says, congratulations on your promo card. You'll be able to add up to 4 contact points of your choice to the card.
Okay, was there a link that was made available for you?
No, when I click on it, it goes straight to this.
We can't see what you're saying.
Sorry. Well, it just wants me to put in information, pretty much.
That's the information I will put on your card.
Sean, I just sent her a copy of mine so she can actually see what one looks like.
That's the aggression I'm looking for. Welcome, Michelle.
Damn it, Sean. It's stop. Even I know it's Melissa.
I just see the M. So, Deja, long story short, we can't do everything for you. If we send you a link for you to enter the information that you want to appear on the card, you don't want to enter that information, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't, okay? So
yeah, I just don't know what it is. That's why I was hesitant.
Click on the bio of everyone here on the stage with a green beam, and if you look into their bio on Instagram, you'll see what it is. It's a place to put your website, your social media, your phone number, every point of contact that you wish to share with a client, you can put all in one place. So when someone asks who you are, what you do, you can share one link with them, and they can get a better understanding of you before they can move forward.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
In your story, Deja, you mentioned that what you're looking to accomplish is generational wealth. And I hear that often from a lot of people here in Clubhouse, whether real estate related or not. And I'm curious what that means to you, what the definition of generational wealth is to you. So for me, it's like I want my daughter to not kind of grow up how I did. I don't really have access or family members who grew up wealthy at all. And I don't want my daughter to have to want or need or to beg or to go through some of the things that I've been through, growing up, so that she can make it where she wants to be. I want her to have access to certain things pretty much. And then, if I, have more kids down the line, I don't want my kids to have to worry, because I feel like people stress about money so much these days. And not that I feel like money is the answer to all things, but I definitely feel like it can get you in places to where you want to be, and start to build your dreams, or basically make things happen in your life. So whatever she wants to do, I want her to be able to do it without having to want to know where or how she's going to do it, how she's going to get there. She has to take the bus, or certain things. I just want her to be able to go out and do it without having to rely on. Got it. So Tiffany, who's here to the left of me, mentioned that she inherited some wealth, right, through land, what have you. But what still was not provided to her is wealth literacy. So I just want to maybe level it up. When we say that we want to create generational wealth, that we want to create generational wealth literacy. And why I say that is because probably the worst thing you can do for your children, and I say this with my kids are 20 years old, and I didn't come from much, right? And I grew up in row housing in Brooklyn back when food stamps looked like monopoly money, right? And I don't have any regrets. at this stage of my life, I'm 40, almost 48 now, right? So what I'm saying by this is my parents did not provide me with resources, but they sure as shit taught me how to be resourceful. And if I can give one or the other to my kids, I will choose being resourceful over resources every day of the week. Because if all we're going to do is leave land and property and money to our children, you are going to screw them in ways you could never imagine. Just wanted to make that point, not just for you, Tisha, but for the room. Because like you, and when my kids were younger, there was the mindset of, we say that it's not about the money. Well, fuck yeah, it is about the money. Wait, it's after 9. I'm allowed to speak how I want now, Sean? Okay.
Oh.
Okay, thank you. It is about the money, but not in the sense, look, I like money as much as the next person. I certainly don't love money, and money certainly doesn't get me out of bed in the morning, right? But it is a tool to create the goals and visions and things that we want in our lifetime and in our children's lifetime. So don't be fearful of money, right? Don't have a negative fear or feel of receiving money, right? Because all that it is the tool that we need to create a life that we want to live by design. Because if we don't design our life, we're forfeiting to a life by default, right? So the challenges you had at some point in your life as you grow older, what I hope for you is that you recognize that your problems were actually your gifts. You just didn't know it at the time, right? Because the things that we have endured, the things that we've gone through, for not those things, for not those experiences, would we be who we are today? So roughing it, figuring it out, learning how to be resourceful, do not ever deny your children that. So if you're going to leave them property, you better make sure that they threw some sheetrock up and figured out how to paint and change a fucking light bulb from time to time. Right? We're not just handing resources, but that we're teaching them how to make something of nothing.
Yeah, I definitely see that, and I've kind of learned how to get out of the mindset that I have been kind of taught growing up. Now coming on here and meeting some of the people and talking to some of the people that I've spoken to already, I've been listening in on a lot of the rooms. I've kind of been learning that, my reality of everything that I know is not really what it seems to be. And so for me, I'm kind of trying to alter how I think now about a lot of things because, growing up, you're kind of just, I was kind of just taught, after you graduate high school, you either, go to college, you can, get a scholarship or whatever, or you work in 9 to 5, and that's pretty much it. And I've kind of done both, and I hate both, they just didn't work out for me. So I want to do something different, but I want to learn all that I can about everything because I don't want to go out and make a leap and mess up. And not saying that messing up is wrong because I believe in learning from your mistakes. But I don't want to mess up and fall too hard, just by trying to rush something. I want to know all that I can, but I also want to be very knowledgeable so I can teach my daughter, anything that she wants to know. I don't want to just give it to her and hand it to her because I don't want her to be one of those types of people that just have a word and have to work for it too, But I want to be able to help her along the way, because I never had that, basically.
So I'll end with this, Sean. I promise I'll shut up after this. I'll use Deja as a subject to what Juan and Sean, I think you're out of the room at that point, when Juan was asking, how do you attract your client or your tribe or whatever it is, right? In speaking with Deja in this short time, I would say that I would mentor someone like you in the real estate world. And why I would do that is because I can quickly identify in a conversation what drivers are. Now, I'm not saying if your driver is economics that I would be interested in mentoring that type of agent, right? But when I identify that your driver is altruistic, that's my kind of people, right? One, so when we're talking about who our tribe is, what am I want to wrap this up real quick and type for you, is that to find your mentors in this world. And when I say mentor or coach, look, just to be clear, I don't sell anything but real estate, right? I'm not paid for a coach. While I could be, I'm not a paid for mentor or anything of that nature, because I don't want to be bothered with that. And the reality is, for those real estate coaches out there that are being honest with themselves and everyone else, having coaching students for a job is like having a listing you can't get rid of. So for those of you who actually have listed a home, you'll understand what I mean, right? It's a slippery slope to nowhere. But when you find your people and someone who's done what you're looking to do, and you align with them, right, what their mission is, or you identify with them, hang on to those people. And the good ones, Sita, they will help, right? The ones who created success for themselves, the real ones, they actually want to share that knowledge with the next generation or the next people coming into the industry or whatever it may be. But you have to bring something to that table as well. So you have to find the people who have the same drivers that you do, right? So in other words, if you identify with a top producing realtor or something, not that you want to sell real estate, I understand that. You're looking at it more for what can the education of the license gain you. I can sadly tell you that whatever you learned in class isn't going to tell you shit about the actual real estate industry. But, knowledge is always great. Any, amount of it, I don't discount it. But if you got yourself with like a real estate tycoon who was just an ass and was money hungry, right, and only looked out for the net dollar made, you won't align with that, and you're not going to learn much from that person. So I will just encourage you in your journey to find the people that you identify with, so that you can not only create success, but you can create fulfillment within that success. Because just like you got your degree, 9-to-5 job, and you're like, isn't this what I was supposed to do? And you're looking around and you're like, this doesn't feel like anything. What did I actually accomplish? Right? So I was feeling that way when I was getting to a certain level in income. And it was that whole success without fulfillment is the absolute ultimate failure. Right? So you're on the right track and you've got the right mindset. And where you're coming from, that you're more about community and others and leaving something behind and teaching, those are great attributes. So be real to who you are and just stick with the people who are going to take you to the right direction, right? And like the 5 people who you hang out with is the sum of who you are. So choose wisely. That's all I would like to share with you.
Okay, thank you so much. And if you ever want to mentor me, hey, I am very open to it. Just saying.
Atta girl.
Get your license and reach out to me. We'll certainly talk.
All right, I will definitely do that. Thank you.
My pleasure. Sean, you still there?
I think Mr. 10K might have hopped over to another room, so I'm going to do a quick room reset.
Yeah. Out on this, and he's double dipping.
Oh, he does it on the regular. We're used to it.
I didn't always look at that. What did I ever do?
I'm not the kind of girl you cheat on. That's all I'm saying.
I think if I'm going to cheat on you, it's still going to be with you, okay? There we go. That's
no double dipping.
But what's so funny, Anna? If I was ever in the regular world of employment, I would have been sued left, right, and center with sexual harassment. It would have been at the talking stage, right? It would have been at the talking stage. You would be suing me left, right, and center, or someone would be. The world is so sensitive these days, but I don't know how you guys deal with this. I really don't know.
I feel like I do get a free pass now. This is so wrong, but here's my analogy for it. Because I've been with my husband for 31 years. And it's just like the old lady who goes grocery shopping and just decides she's not going to wear a bra anymore. And it's like, screw you all. I'm 98 years old, and if I want to go out without a bra, I'm going to do it. Well, women in this country, you know, in the same relationship for 21 years, we're married 26. If I want to flirt with another guy, God damn it, that's what I'm going to do, right? Because I'm loyal, I'm just not dead. So you can excuse it or not, and I just don't give a shit because I'm that 98-year-old woman who decides I'm going to go grocery shopping, not even for bra.
The reason I mentioned that, and as I said, I feel like totally respectful college, something this there. But take a look at this, guys. Whenever I hear of inequality in the workplace, right? Why don't women start building their own organization? Why don't women start building their own empires? Why are women still relying on men for the validation of the pay increase? All this bullshit. Don't you think there's enough woman power out there to start running your own? I listened to someone say, "Oh no, we will never be paid as much as the men. Oh, we are being paid 10% less than men. Whatever it is." Anna, what is so wrong with a group of women starting their business and start supporting each other? What's so wrong?
If anything at all, and if any women want to, by all means, reach out to me. And I'll tell you why most women don't, if you actually want to know why that is. It's because you men won't hang around. And they hear that. Now, it takes a strong, I'm talking a strong man. Think about it, John. You got me for like an hour on, on this app, maybe 2 hours if you're lucky. I'm fucking exhausting. Could you imagine being married to me? It's a lot. I'm just Joanna's sister. Right? It's a lot. Now, you never doing this. You walk up, that's awesome. But seriously, ladies, come on. Tell me, how many men have you met in your lifetime who have put up with that? And you have more fear of being alone than you do of being powerful, of being in your own strength on a daily because you're worried that he's going to leave. Now, if you're in my culture and where my family comes from, and Sean knows this, and he laughs when I say this, divorce is not an option. We're okay with that, right? So I'm first generation American. My family's from southern Italy, and no one just ever gets divorced. It's just not a thing. Now, there are some people who have gone missing. We don't talk about them anymore, but we're not, right? If you can decide how we're going to raise the kids, if we sure shit, I'm going to have some old judge stand up there and try to tell me how I'm going to raise my children if I didn't let you tell me how I'm going to raise my children. So you just got to accept certain things. So I'm just saying, it takes a strong man who knows how to have a little bit of fear to hang out with the women in my family.
Powerful. That's powerful. I'm so glad you mentioned have gone missing. A lot of stories in my family about people that just went missing. It just bothers me that I go digging. If the pond dries up, I'll go digging. I'm like, what's that about? Are there murderers up in here? What's really going on?
I actually not only love my husband, but still like him very much, which is probably a bit of excessive love. But because I'm Italian American from Brooklyn, people do get ideas. They're not true. All right, some of them are true. But it's a cultural mindset. I was born and raised to be a wife and mother, not an entrepreneur, not a business owner. That came in time, experience, evolving, growing, educating, right? But I wasn't taught to be that way. I was taught that if my family was happy, that I would be happy. Ain't that some kind of bullshit? DJ, you want to talk about shit that you told as a child that just isn't true, right? Like, but then though, you do become an adult and you have to own that shit. And you have to make decisions and not come from a place of scarcity, but just recognize that I am my truth, like it or not. People love me hard, but people hate my fucking guts too. Like there's some that just because they can't that level.
What do you say
I knew I liked you, Anna. I knew I liked you.
What do you girls say to women who can't get along with each other long enough? I tried working, like I was supporting the women in real estate stuff there for a little while, right? And the amount of fighting, tearing that I see these women doing behind closed doors was crazy. What do you have to say about that, guys? Women tearing each other down.
Too many emotions going on. Too much emotionalism. That's why they don't like me. I'm not like that. I will disconnect. I don't deal with emotionalism. I'm about facts and figures. Numbers don't lie. Let's deal with the facts.
Let me pull Sharon. Let me pull Sharon in this for a second. Sharon with a big smile. How are you?
Sean, why did I know you were going to do that to me?
You are good. You see, we're in sync right now. We're in sync. So Sharon, what's your take on this? Women fighting for power. They want to be as powerful as men. They want to be more powerful than men. Guys, full disclosure. I want you guys to hear this one carefully. In my opinion, the highest position in the world is actually not only it's raising kids. And I'll tell you what I mean when I say that. Without kids, we have no future, we have no tomorrow. A man can build a business, but a woman can build a family. And I get it. Women want to have their own independence and all this kind of stuff, which is cute. So, in my opinion, if you really can find with to raise a family and achieve independent success, I think that's like the ultimate formula. So, I just want to put my position out here, guys. So, Sharon, what's your take when women start their own businesses for each other?
I don't know, when I first got on here and I was listening to the conversation, shout out to Mr. Don. His whole presentation was just amazing. But getting back to this, thank you. What came to my mind was Annie Lennox singing that song, Sisters Are Doing It For Themselves. And I hadn't heard or thought of that song in I don't know how many years, but it just kept playing over and over in my mind. I think a lot of times I deal a lot with women and women's ministry. A lot of times the struggles comes from with women, I think, is insecurities and not knowing who you are. Clearly, Anna, Tiffany, I mean, the women on here, blessed stage is hard. You know, she went through a difficult time. Divorce is painful. It's a tearing apart. And to take her little girl and to move on with her life and seek to move forward, go on, progress, have a future for herself and her daughter, it's those are the characteristics that strong women have. And culturally, we it's in our DNA. I can relate. Anna's our cousin. Okay, so we're all in the same thing. But I think with that whole women thing, it really is power and us working in a harmonious atmosphere, us working together, us supporting and encouraging each other. But you get some insecure women, some women, I don't even like to use the word weak. I think they just don't know who they are and the power they possess. And so they're looking for that. But women who do understand that, they can function together. They can agree to disagree. They can hold each other accountable. They can move forward and empower and do things together when they know who they are and they're not looking to find themselves in somebody else. And I didn't wake up with this. I mean, life happens and I had to learn and grow and develop. And I think somebody used the word evolve. And that's what it's about. We're all evolving. We're all trying to move forward and really operate in our plan and purpose, because that's when you get that true sweet spot. So I agree. I think women are strong. Women are powerful. Let a man try to have faith, and let's see what happens with that.
There we go. You know, and let's touch on some of the guys here for a second. Emmett. We have heard from him for 2 years yet. Emmett, you in the building?
Oh, yeah.
What's your feedback so far on the topic?
Man, I'm overwhelmed. I don't even know where to begin.
They are strong women, Emmett. I agree. You are overwhelmed. They are strong women. I know it.
Yes, in the room. Too far. I got to walk away in here, okay? So, where to begin? I mean, at the end of the day, I think I like a lot what Anna was saying, particularly the conversation she had with Deja. I think if Deja was
young lady that I would have met in Detroit, I'll probably be married with 4 kids by now. Yeah, no, the mindset, I can't find it. I'm 42 and I'm single and I'm just, I don't know, I'm getting ready to change states or something like that right about now. It's kind of tiring at this juncture. I hear with Anna how she was raised, and then she had to learn the whole situation. So it's just a lot of, I don't know, I'm just kind of absorbing it from a ton of different angles. I don't know, what do you think, 10K? I'm just feeling it around the room. Look, my declaration is, and I told my wife already, my goal is to lift her up. Excuse me, lift her up. Give her all the support she's asking for, and still exceeding her accomplishments in a competitive nature, and in no way suppressing her. In no way suppressing her. There's just a part of me that believe a man is supposed to be man, and a man is supposed to be. He's supposed to make his woman as much she achieves still feel like a little girl. And this is what I mean when I say that. If a woman is making $10 million a year, right, and her husband is making $100 grand, there's going to be a problem coming out of that situation after a while. But if a woman is making $10 million a year, and her husband is making $100 million a year, ladies, which one of those equations you prefer to have? And let's keep it real, please, no bullshit.
Wait. I want to keep it real and ask you a question, Sean.
Sure.
Because I'm hearing you, so that if I hear you correctly, you could not be married to a woman like me. Is that what you're saying?
You're so cute.
So
let me help you this one out, Hannah. Let me help you this one, Hannah. I want you to be careful here. I want you to be careful in this one. I do believe men should be supermen for their women. I do believe women should be superwomen for their men. End of story. Now, I hear everyone here on the stage mention that they have a competitive spirit. And the word competitive spirit was probably written after they have studied me. And this is what I mean when I say that. It doesn't matter who I'm rocking with. It doesn't matter who I'm hanging out with. I train my brain to think differently. And one reason I prefer to have collaboration, I don't think there's any single human being that can try to come against me and actually win. It's just not going to happen. When I was younger, I was very destructive when it comes to competition. Because I'm not going to compete with you just to win. I'm going to compete to destroy the chance of you thinking you're going to compete with me ever again. So that mindset, compounded since I was a little child, it became very dangerous. Now, one of the reasons I like to collaborate, because if I'm collaborating with you, I'm using my competitive nature to fight for us. I'm using my competitive nature not to fight for us. If you study my every move in this app, anyone that's protected by me have good protection. And if you come against me, you have a big fucking problem. So the point I'm trying to make is that respectfully, I came from an era where we're supposed to protect our queens. And in protecting our queens, in protecting our queens, we have to tap into our inner soul strength to ensure at all costs they're protected, they're covered, and they're taken care of. That's just the era that I came from, Madam. And any fucking man that have the audacity to spend time with a woman and not doing his absolute best at being that achiever, I'm so sorry. Some fucking therapy is needed somewhere along the way. Let's have that conversation. Let's do it now. The mic is yours.
So your answer is no, simply.
No. I want you to hear me. Anna, I love you like a beautiful sister that you are. But I want to ask you a question. Anna. Let's be careful. That's what's for you. And I want us to, let's role play. Let us role play and let us use the minds to get to the solution. Are you telling me that you have the ability to out-earn me?
Yes.
All right. So here's what we can do on stage now. I want you to walk me through your strategies. How you're going to do it. And I'll walk you through my strategy. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Let's go for it. Take a first shot.
Just a moment. Here we go.
I love it. I love it.
Take the first shot. Let's go.
All right, round one. Here we go.
Take the first shot. Let's go.
So here's the first thing that every man and woman needs to understand. It is in my brain, a known understanding that women are the stronger sex. Now I know.
Agreed.
I know society's trying to bullshit you, but here's how I know this to be true. As a man.
No, step one, we agreed. Move on next. Let's go fast one.
Has a man ever gone to work, bled out like a mofo all day, and still
get to the point.
No,
you want to be big on strategies, not stories. Let's go.
I'm just saying we are stronger because we can do more. But anyhow,
I agree. Next, let's go.
Knowing what I've accomplished thus far, and at the point where I am, and not working several hours a day or a week or whatever, I could probably work more or spend more time here on Clubhouse. So if all you're saying I actually had to get up and work and make even more money to...
Anna, share your strategy of making bigger money. Let's go. Come on, man. Give my warrior energy. This is a nice guy right now. Let's go.
I would create more wealth than I currently have created simply by growing my organization and creating even more passive income. And
How would you grow your organization?
Well, with the brokerage that I'm with.
All right. How would you go about doing that?
So, because I'm with an agent-owned brokerage, and that we own the brokerage, when we bring on agents, we receive revenue share. So, thus far, I have not recruited yet. I have 189 agents under me without even trying. So, all I have to do is to get intentional about actually recruiting agents. So, with that not trying, created $100,000 of passive income last year. It can easily multiply into over $1 million by next year if I actually try.
What price would you be willing to pay to operate the optimum in your business? What price are you willing to pay?
That's the thing, John. See, I knew where you were going with that. So
when it comes to competition, right? As I tell you, you gotta be ready for it.
How much are the people that I love, that are around me, willing to grow, to allow me to grow to where...
Here's the difference in a man's world and a woman's world. I'll ask you a very simple question. And you're going on all the long stories, and everything I've said is respectfully, but let's understand it's a competition now. So you as a man would risk it all to get that pot of gold. Do you understand that with my nature or no? Yes, that's what I'm saying. Do you know why I justify being that way? What? Okay, so I'm going to share with you why I would justify being that way, and I would be okay with the prices involved in that journey. I have 3 boys, and the reason I would lay it all on the line for my boys for them to understand exactly what it means to go all in. That's number 1. Number 2, would you say you would find a quick excuse so why not to go to the very end and I would? I don't consider it an excuse. Okay, would you say you would find a bigger reason not to go to the very end of the success than I would? Yes. And that's the problem right there, sweetheart. That's the problem right there. So here's what I'm sharing that with you. That is your problem. No, we're talking competition now. We're talking competition. We're talking results. But you think that result is creating your success. And what we're arguing about, Anna, is making money. Let's get fucking serious. We're talking about making money. Cut the bullshit. So if it didn't involve my family, if you're saying you and I truly were, so if we use this analogy, you and I are in a partnership, right? In a marriage, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's just weird for me to visualize that. But in any right now,
Love it. So you're saying that I don't have the foundation and all that I have within the family that I've created over the years. Okay, yeah, absolutely. I would kick your ass, and I would absolutely risk it all and not give two shits about leaving you in the dust and getting there to that goal, whatever number it is you want to put on the board.
You're so cute. So let me share you a few strategies now. Just to help you out to this one. You ready? Step one, Anna. Step one, Anna. Whenever I'm building a company, I study it end to end. I start off with zero and make sure there's no ceiling as to how high I can go. That's number one. Number two, in building companies, I foster relationships. I meet individuals that's way more talented than I am, and I find a way to get into collaboration with them. When I get into collaboration with them, that becomes a partnership that we're fostering. That collaboration mindset, it has no limit as to how far I can go with it. That's number one. Number two, I'm the kind of guy, I don't go to sleep anymore, I fall asleep. I'm willing to go until I fall asleep. Everyone is not willing to pay that kind of price. Number three, I currently have over 3,000 web domains. Before the next 10 years, I'm going to have a minimum of 10,000 domains. Those 10,000 domains will turn into 10,000 companies. And each of those companies, there's no ceiling as to what you can achieve with those companies. So when I'm connected with you, Anna, and we strike a partnership together, we strike a collaboration together, you're seeing a collaboration with Sean. But I'm seeing 1 of 10,000 collaborations when I look at you, Anna. And I mean this respectfully, I don't mean something disrespectful at all. So my thing is, I'm not going for one side of the fence, I'm going for the entire playground. Also, I just find a very simple formula that I can use with everything I do. Now, being that you're my, okay, yeah, it's kind of weird saying you're my wife. Being you're my wife, Anna, I just came from a place where it's my responsibility to go there and hunt for you. And if I can't hunt and provide for you, it's like I'm missing the ball. It's like I'm not living to what I was fucking created to do. And as much as you're making, it's a challenge for me to get out of my comfort zone and go outperform. This is actually a good thing in my opinion. Because after a while, a man wanted to know when he sit down in his fucking lazy boy, he's looking at his television. He already set a fucking trap on the outside. And now he's going to rest to go out there and do it again tomorrow. So I'm just trying to share where I'm coming from. And I just think there's a lot of psychological damages to men who are operating below the performance scale of this woman. Now, it doesn't mean she has to lower her standard. It doesn't mean she has to lower her performance to make him feel better about himself. It just means he has to raise his motherfucking standard. And the higher you raise your standard, the more you're challenged, the more you step up and deliver. That's what you call a real fucking victory.
In your eyes, Sean.
What's that?
In your eyes, and the message you're giving, I actually have to say, is detrimental to the women.
I did mention to you, it's not a fucking cultural thing that men, it's the Sean and Adam. The reason I mentioned that.
But you represent the typical or the averages of men that women hear, because when you understand, when women, you gotta hear this. When a woman really understands the power of her, she also understands that I can raise you up as quickly as I can put you down, and I'm in power of that.
No,
let me do that to my husband.
I know. I want
to make more money.
No, I want to have this one. I want this to be carefully. A man can do 10,000 times more than he can with a blessed of his woman. I'm not arguing with a woman the strongest being. That's without fucking doubt. Women are the strongest beings. Now, because of how a woman is structured, biology, woman's place in the creation process and all this kind of good stuff. A man's job, in my opinion, is to collaborate effectively with that woman and be the fucking provider. Again, I'm
I'm subject to be corrected. Don't get it twisted. But I'm sharing my views as a man. I'm sharing my views as a man as to how the old school that I came from. Men are supposed to get out there and make fucking shit happen no matter what. Now, I heard one story that impressed me. There was this one woman, I don't know if you were in the room with me. There's this one woman that said when she met her husband, she was actually making significantly more than him. And then, he went to school, he did his college, he became a doctor, whatever. And then ultimately he started making more than him, more than her, sorry. So I asked her, did you lower your standards to make more than you? She said, no. I just kept supporting him in what he wanted to do. And then just so happened that now he's actually making more than her. And that in my opinion, was a success story. And the reason it's a success story, which guy in this fucking stage, what's his name? Emmett, you there? Yeah, I'm here. How do you feel with how would you feel with your wife making more than you? Straight talk, no bullshit.
Well, straight talk, I was kind of built from that same cloth that you was built from too, Sean. Okay. I was raised in I'm a anomaly. I'm a 70s baby for starters. And my father was going out and getting it every day, slaying every day. So, in your defense and my defense, it's not an option. Well, hold on. Societal norms now have made that not as respectable, or the words that I'm looking for, it's not acceptable anymore. It's not cool to be masculine. It's not cool to be that provider. It's changed, man. Okay. So that's where Ann is slightly coming from. No problem. We're gonna get back. No, and 1 second, Spirit. 1 second. And so 1 second. We're gonna get back down. We're gonna get back there.
That's
1
the
second.
definition of masculinity. That's all I'm saying. I want you to be masculine. But
all right, 1 second. We're gonna get back there. Whoa. We can stop it. Joy, you there? Well, how the fuck do you feel about your wife makes more than you?
Alright, I have to do a disclaimer. My mom made more than my stepfather. All the time.
Okay.
I'm first generation here from her side. She's from Italy. Now, I currently make more than my wife. But to your point, if she encouraged me, like if she was down with everything I did, I'd make significantly a lot more. But if she were to make more than me, that just made me have to up my game.
Thank you. Fucking thank you. All right. Now, we're going to flip the goddamn coin around. Ladies. And I'm on the ones and twos. I'm going to strip Anna up for this one for a second. With this one. Sharon, are you in the building?
Oh yeah, Sharon.
Don't come off mute. Don't come off. No.
Sharon, Sharon. How do you feel? How do you make your money, husband?
Initially, when we got married, I was making more money than him. I don't know if I was too young to know to see anything different. We were 22 and 23, I guess, when we got married. And we're coming up on an anniversary of 34 years. And he's making thank you, by the grace of God. Thank you. So he makes considerably more money. He takes care of me and my daughter and our daughter, and I love it.
All right. Overall, when you were making more than him, overall, what was the energy like in the relationship? No bullshit. Let's keep it real. That would be nice.
He did very well with it, in all honesty, and he didn't care. And I didn't flaunt it, but throw it up in his face. But he was always gentleman. He always took care of things that he needed to take care of. So it was okay. But am I more relaxed now that he's taking care of everything. I am.
All right. So on your end, when you were making fun of him back in the day, how did that make you feel?
He's laying right here listening. He said I was running things.
Okay, but I like that. Wonderful there for me.
Oh yeah.
How are you? How are you?
What's up, man?
I'm good, brother. What's your name? What's your first name?
My name is John.
John, first of all, welcome to the family. Welcome to the conversation.
Y'all are interesting. I love this.
I can tell I'm always picking on her, okay? Now, take a look at this, John. When you guys first met, right, and Sharon was making, I'm so happy he's here. When you guys first met and Sharon was making more money than you, how did that make you feel? Let's hear about it.
Well, I'm gonna keep it real. It didn't bother me, but I kind of submitted to it as a man. As a man, I allowed her to decide where we go, what we gonna do, and that kind of messed us up later on in marriage. Because once it shifted financially, now it was my turn to make the decisions, and things might not have went as smoothly as I would want them to transition. So it was kind of messed up as far as me as a man.
Okay, so is it that you said that she kind of became accustomed to the power, and then when it was time to exchange the power, the transition was not good?
It wasn't smooth.
Okay, why wasn't it smooth?
That's a good question. I mean, we considered our money as one the whole time.
Okay.
But psychologically and subconsciously, the decision making kind of caused issues.
Okay.
So it wasn't like it was, anything crazy or anything. But there's some things going on when you as a man feel like you need to go and ask or discuss. So I want to spend time. I want to go do this, and you gotta kind of. So that comes up as being a man.
Very good.
And so those type of things they can become issues, especially if a man is controlling and he's not financially making more than his wife, and then you're still wanting to control things. That's going to be an issue.
That's right. Okay, so if it was not, I don't even know what it is to not want to be in control of my own destiny. So I can't even speak on that, to be honest with you. The reason I asked you that question, first of all, I appreciate your honesty, man. This is so important. Because too often we want to try to skip around the fucking truth before we get a real conversation. And for you guys coming and being so brutally honest, I respect it. Now, when did you feel more empowered, John? Before you were making more, or after you started making more?
When did you feel more empowered?
When did you feel more empowered, brother?
It was obviously after I made more.
All right, so that strike has been the obvious answer. And Sharon, how did you feel when you started making more and you can handle all the damn bills?
For me, it was a relief. But like you said, the transition wasn't smooth because we had, I think, some communication challenges. But after we kind of got past that, it for me, honestly, as a woman, it made me feel more secure. And even though he can go out and do things, now he'll come to me and we talk about it before he does it.
Right.
It's old as that may sound, because before it was, it was kind of a tug of war kind of thing.
So next question: when you were making significantly more than him, did you guys speak of how you spent every penny? Or did you go to
for the most part, we talked a lot about it, or any large purchases. Yeah, I mean back then I guess $50 was large, not large now, but
all right. So when John started making considerably more, what changed with the financial dynamic of the relationship?
He started making more decisions and really started taking ownership in my opinion. I'll use that of things, which I was glad to. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was glad to relinquish certain things to him.
Okay. Now, question to you, John. Do you think the relationship would have been as strong, you would have felt as empowered as if the equation has still remained the same way Sean was making more than you the entire time?
Repeat that one more time.
If Sharon was making more than you at this point of the relationship, do you think you would have felt as empowered as you do now and in control of your family?
Yeah, because I've grown up. I'll be 57 years old. So at 22, I was all messed up in the head. I hadn't even grown up yet.
Yeah.
Okay,
so now, you know, and I'm a grown ass man, so I kind of know what's going on in life. I've matured, she's matured, and so I want her to make more than me now. I'm submissive. I go over there and sit down in the corner and suck my thumb. You know, so it really doesn't matter right now.
Right. What I loved when I heard is the transition was real. It was honest. You guys were being very, very genuine. I appreciate that. And, you know, John just what he wanted to on this app, guys. When he started making more than his fucking wife, he grew a complete taller.
Yes.
Some extra muscle, okay?
And he's already 6'5", but yeah.
There we go. He got to 6'7". Yep. Because, guys, this is something that happens when a man is actually generated beyond the call of fucking duty for his family. It's just something different, man. Come on. Let's not try to talk about this bullshit.
I have a question.
Sure.
To Miss Sharon's husband. Why did you feel like when you start to make more money than her, you got your power back? Didn't you always have your power, or why did you feel like you just got the power now when you start making more money than her? Shouldn't you have always had the power?
Yes, I should have, but that's the part of, I don't want to sound spiritual, but I'm going to go all the way back to the Garden Eden and how God
No, go ahead. I'm a PK kid.
Okay, yeah. God created man, and then he created the woman, and they were to be not two, but one. And he created the man, and the chain of command is God, man, woman. That's how it goes, 3 levels. And I was outside of the will of God in the order because I was submitting authority that God had given me as the man of the house, to be the breadwinner, to be the hunter, to be the decision maker, to run the household. But I was submitting that authority to my wife, so I was kind of out of order in how really God wants it to be. You know, not discounting single moms or whoever, but as far as the order that God would require, I was out of order. So that made me all out of order in my thinking and then our relationship. And then the shift happened, it kind of got back to how the order of God would want it to be in our marriage and financially. So yes, I was out of order in the beginning of our marriage as far as financially, the decision making, just giving her things that she shouldn't even have to be responsible for in the marriage. I was relinquishing that power in the beginning and giving it to her when she wasn't even supposed to be doing it. If you understand what I'm saying.
I love it. Yes, I appreciate the honesty. Did you give it to her because she was the breadwinner? She was making more?
Probably so, yeah. And she's better with finances. She's better with bill paying. She's better with structure. But now I'm good at all of that too now. Like I said, I had not grown up yet. Men mature much later than women. Women are ready to roll out. Like the young lady I was listening, I forgot her name, but women are stronger than men. That's point blank. That's the truth. And so I had not grown into who I needed to be as a man yet. And
and John will go another 34 years strong. Sharon, you got yourself a real keeper right there, honey.
I loved it. I love the fact that he was open and honest about how he relinquished his power because she was the breadwinner, and that it took him, to him growing up into being mature to be able to eventually take the reins back. I so appreciate that because not a lot of men will be that honest. They will beat you down and be like, nope, I have all the power, all the control. I run my household. I always run my household. But for him to say that he didn't, and then for him to say that he gained his power back when he started making more money, and now he was like he said he was out of order with God. Now that he's in order with God, everything flows for him, and everything he now was weakened, he is now stronger, and because he's now in the right order with God and his wife. Sir, I appreciate that. I so appreciate that.
Not only I second that, but John, because of you, anytime I hear a woman making more than a man, I'm going to say, that's just goddamn out of order. Out of order.
You're out of order, young man.
Exactly, you're out of order.
And also, too, I'm a natural born leader. I'm an extrovert. I have a very strong personality.
Look over, we're going to have some fun now, Sharon. What is your birthday, Sharon?
My birthday is May 6th.
May 6th, so you have great communication skills. What year are you? 19 what? Don't be shy. You have also learned something.
65.
65, okay, that's the thing. So 65 is on 6 to 7 1/3. Oh man, okay, 65. That's 6 to 7, that's 3. Oh man, I love you already. So take a look at this. Oh, well, you really are a piece of work. So step 1, great communication skills. Step 2, very competitive. Step 3, you have the heart of gold. You love to give help and share. But when you were younger and someone crossed you, you were ready to condemn it with no questions asked. But as you mature, you started to let that side of you go, and you started to listen more to great good. Okay, how am I measuring so far?
100%.
Now, here's the challenge now. Here's the secret now. John, what is your birthday?
August 24th.
Okay, don't say, oh man, you guys are 2 peas in 1 pot. Okay, what year are you? This will separate everything now. What year are you?
1964.
Okay, don't say anything. Don't say anything. 64 is equals to this is 64 10 1 64 10. That's it. Okay, so that's 2. You guys are so much in common. It's not even funny. But so here's the thing that I want you to think about, John. You guys are super competitive, right? But your wife has a natural ability to give help, share, and care on a higher level. Like John, where for you, you'll have to think of giving, sharing, and caring. It comes automatically for your wife. So the giving for your wife is a natural response for you. It's more of a learned thing. And between the two of you guys, your wife doesn't get hurt or why. She has the natural ability to see the best in others on impact, no matter what that may look like. And people will always feel you, Sharon, but it wouldn't really feel your husband that much. Because he never really buy into the with them the way you would. And then when they fall short of glory, you'll be like, oh man, you could have been so much more. Why would you want that yourself? But just like, well, fuck them. Would you say that is in any way coming close? Straight up, yes.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I want to share with you, John, I want to lead into your wife's situation wherever you guys go. She has a natural knack to being a very good judge of character. And you may sometimes make a mistake when feeling someone out. She just has that natural GPS. Step 1, being a woman. And step 2, the natural ability that she has within her naturally. And both of you guys, whenever someone calls you guys, you take it very personal because you're both very loyal individuals. So I really can tell you guys to really make it this far because you have a lot in common and also you do have a little bit of variation within you. In terms of leadership, John, you have a natural knack for leadership, brother. You have a natural knack for leadership. I mean this respectfully. Sometimes it might be easier to influence Sharon than it is to influence you. They'll call you stubborn. Because if you don't decide that you're going to do something, well, I am walk, it's not going to happen. With Sharon, you more find the logic behind it, but no, that's going to convince you on that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, stop.
So take a look at this, John. Take a look at this, guys. The fact that we have never met before, right? How would you say that description fits the both of you guys as a couple?
You were on point so much that I was getting ready to start running up out this bed and running around the room.
Now, that ability that I have to do what I just did with you guys, this is what I intend to start doing with young people. Because if you guys could have spoken to someone like myself when you guys were in the early 20s, imagine the kind of lifestyle that you'll have today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not how you start the race, how you finish.
Yeah. And that's what I pride myself in. So the reason I mentioned that, if John was aware of all of Sharon's strong point as when they were younger, and Sharon was aware of John's strong point was, you guys could leverage and maximize and not leveraging each other's strong skills. Okay, but I love what you guys shared. I love the transparency and honesty. And because of John's competitive nature, that's why he was not okay with just you being on top all time score. He was destined to rise above that shit. And ultimately claiming his goddamn put himself back in order. Okay?
Yes.
And all that said, respectfully, by the way.
You did an excellent job. It's an excellent job. You summed it up perfectly. Thank you, Tiffany.
Tiffany's on top of the world.
It is. And so, and in all honesty, Sean, we just got recently over a great big hurdle, and so we're moving on to other things. And I think we got like a reset button. And so now that we understand like everything that you said, I think we're going to go even farther.
I love that, and I appreciate the honesty, by the way, because you guys be so brutally honest. Not only we can help solve problems, we can inspire others. We can truly, genuinely inspire others, and that's because of done seeming by being honest. Okay.
I appreciate you. I gotta learn the ins and outs of my 10K cards. So I'm trying to decide.
Did you get the big version or the promo version?
I guess it's the promo version.
I got the promo version. I was just waiting to hear what you say. You think I can go to the damn bank and go to the promo version? Come on, Sharon. Shit.
Well, I need to know next level. I had somebody contact me today, and I think he may have messaged you. I told her about it. And there's several people I'm going to tell about it, but I want to make sure I'm all set up first.
That's right.
So you both can be going to the bank.
I'm going to send you a link right now to get the premium version. And also, what does John do? John, what do you do for a living?
John, on his phone, he said, "What do you do for a living?" Eat a bread. Just put on his phone.
That's it.
Yeah, that's what I do. Breadwinner.
John's a commercial driver.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do, Sharon. I'm going to send you the premium link to pay for yours, and I'm going to give John his own as a gift. That's for you guys being honest and sharing your story with us, okay?
All right, thank you. John, you have a digital business card.
And this is the reason I love having conversations like these, guys. You never know where these conversations are going to go. And also, in my opinion, life is always going to be a challenge until we get to the very end. End the story, make no mistake about it. Anna, what do you want to respond to so far, Quinn?
I love John and Sharon. I love everything about them, and it just, leads me to believe that I have faith in humanity.
And one thing I want to know, and I will always throw myself in front of a bus for you, but whenever we're going to on anything, I'm not your friend at that point. We're competitors. Okay, and I say that respectfully because if we want to get to the core of it all, we have to remove all emotional attachment and get into it, all right? And anything that I can do to become even better, stronger, faster, and everything, I'm going to do that for you. And I think it's very simple for me. feel suicidal to get back in?
Always 100%. But again, I'm going to say your statements that sends the wrong message for the women here. That's all.
That's the difference. You go and you guys go caught up in a goddamn statements and what it mean all this bullshit versus the work that needs to be put in. Let's get done. Let me see. I got a voice. Tim is on stage. Tim, how are you? Tim disappears.
Chris, she's been hanging out here.
Where is Chris? Where is Chris? Where is Chris?
At the bottom.
Oh, Chris looks good. Chris is smiling. Chris, you probably use some Botox on that cheek. Chris cannot be smiling that long without the rest of the face. Chris, how are you?
I know I left a long time ago. I've been sitting here for a little while. I'm okay.
All right, Queen Chris, are you making for my husband?
At the current moment, yes.
What is that?
I said at the current moment, yes.
At the current moment, yes. At some point, was he making more than you?
No.
Okay. Is your husband close by?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, well, how does that make you feel that you're currently making more than him? How does it make him feel as best as you can recall?
He doesn't have a problem with it.
Huh?
I said he doesn't have a problem with it.
All right. How do you feel about it? Are you okay with it?
Yes. I mean, it's not something that I look at even to distinguish between the two of us.
And would you want to see one day his income surpass yours?
I would say it would be the bottom line increasing. So I guess it would just be both of them together, and at the end of the day, it's what the bottom line is.
So would you want to see him make more than you one day, or it doesn't really matter?
Doesn't really matter. More is more.
Okay. All right, Pastor, we're gonna have to get Hubby on to give us a feel. The only reason I keep doing this, right, guys? You know, we're coming. In my opinion, and it could be corrected here. When we get into this place in our life where we have to be more politically correct and all this kind of stuff, and I'm just here from a place where I hear from the hunting era, where men is supposed to go there and hunt his wife no matter what.